Welcome to the Women Choosing Growth podcast, where we feature inspiring stories of success, challenges of growth, and lessons learned from women entrepreneurs, industry experts, and thought leaders who have been through the growing pains inevitable as an entrepreneur. Whether you are just getting started or are looking to scale up your business, our show is designed to provide you with the tools, resources, and community you need to grow your business. Join your host, Tina Sue, a lifelong entrepreneur and business growth advisor, as we explore topics such as marketing, sales, finance, leadership, and personal growth, all tailored specifically to the needs of women entrepreneurs. So if you're ready to grow your business faster and smarter, then this podcast is for you. Thanks for tuning in, and let's get started.
Welcome back to another episode. Today, we have with us Vered Kogan. She is a change catalyst, a coach, founder of the Momentum Institute, where she equips entrepreneurs and leaders just like you with science-backed tools to master mindset, resilience, and high performance. On today's episode, she shares proven strategies to help growth mode women break through limiting beliefs, lead with emotional strength, and sustain transformational change. This episode is a hands-on, even if you are listening or watching on YouTube. She literally goes through the process that you can to help you get unstuck in whatever mode that you are in right now through a proven strategy. She literally walks us through it on this episode. So stay tuned because this can change your life and keep you unstuck in the future. Let's dive in. What if feeling stuck isn't a setback, but a sign that something bigger is waiting to break through? I'm here today with Vered Kogan, who will show you how to let go of what's holding you back. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I am excited about this because you are an expert in change management. And we know that if one thing is consistent is that the world is changing every single day.
Very true. At an accelerated pace.
Absolutely. And so I think this is such an important topic because if we can't deal with change in a positive way, it really can hold us back, like you mentioned, and like it can affect our personal lives, our business lives, and everything around us. So I'm so excited to dive in with you. But before we do, how did you become this expert in change management?
Well, many years ago, I worked in management consulting at PwC and in change management. And so that was the kind of first introduction to that. Got to be involved in different mergers and acquisitions and all kinds of change. And then got laid off. IBM had acquired PwC Canada, and I and about 28 other people from my area of the company were laid off. And so I was given the opportunity to have an outplacement program with a phenomenal coach named Michael. And I can say that Michael really helped me to get unstuck in the sense that it was a very hard emotional time. Like many of us, my identity, like who I thought of myself and all of that was kind of correlated with the job and my success and the accomplishments, right? This thing, to be able to share, I do this. And yeah, exactly. And all that went away. And so, even though I didn't do anything wrong per se, I mean, just a wall full of just shame fell upon me and all of that stuff. So it was a journey. And I learned that I learned a lot of things along the way, but one of the things is I learned how important it is to be focused on what we want, how important it is to give ourselves grace during that time. I now know what happens in the body when we're hijacked in that way. I didn't back then. I just felt the emotions and I didn't know what was happening. So it really helped to have someone in my corner that had been through it before with other people and can kind of tell me, it's okay, what you're feeling is normal, and you'll come out even stronger on the other end. And ultimately, it was that experience that led me to coaching, which led me ultimately to this conversation with you.
I absolutely love it. Absolutely. You emphasized by the way, your website is amazing. I encourage everyone to go. There's so many great resources. And I know one thing that you feel strongly about is that change starts with your inner world. And you just mentioned that emotional feelings that we have when something is changing. So can you kind of guide us through like Where do you start with that?
Absolutely. So it starts by first understanding our nervous system, how we're, in our physical body, how we respond to change. So if there's some triggering event, like a layoff, like a threat of AI taking over our job, or some, grief in our family, or any change, wanted or unwanted.
Positive as well, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Positive as well. Our body doesn't yet have the wiring, if you will, the new program to align with the new way of being. So we're going about with an old operating system needing to essentially function in a new one, a different one. And so what happens is that there's this inner conflict. So part of me, let's say, wants to change or realizes I need to change,
Mhm.
and yet another part of me might be like, not safe, right? Let's just stay where we are. This is familiar. This is what is certain, therefore safe. And our nervous system cares first and foremost about our safety more than about our fulfillment or joy or opportunities, right? It needs to keep us alive. So as soon as there's some activating event, then our body goes into some chaos. And what happens is that then depending on the meaning that we're giving to the event, we can really get hijacked. We get incoherent, meaning our nervous system goes into survival, kind of fight, flight, or even freeze. And we can't think our way out of it because it's a body thing. So most people think, okay, I'm feeling stressed out, or I don't exactly know what's my next step, or there are many different manifestations of stuckness, but I'm kind of, stuck in the mud, so to speak.
Mhm.
And they're like, I need to work harder. I need to, push through. I need to, do more networking or do more, learn more stuff. And the reality is that that will not get us unstuck.
Or
Not in
just
the
ignore it. I'd imagine that is one of the,
The
like, just,
freeze, correct.
yeah.
Yeah, the inertia of just kind of staying where we are.
Mhm.
So the idea is we want to get to a state of momentum, which is a direction oriented state where there's action and there's clarity. And until we get there, the body is in some form of chaos because it's not necessarily safe and it needs to protect us. So what happens is when we're hijacked, then we're not thinking clearly. We are operating out of our old programs. We're not really able to think about new creative solutions because all we can see, right, is like what's in front of us and what's possible or what we should do. And it really limits our ability to access our full potential. So, anytime someone is stuck, I want them to remember you cannot think your way out of it because it's a body thing. You have to go inward and you have to change your state. You have to get into a more coherent state. So, physiologically, what that means is you need to have a nice, smooth heart rate variability pattern going through your vagal nerve that connects your gut brain, your heart brain, your head brain. And in that state, you're more coherent. You're able to think clearly. Your system's self-regulated. You're not in survival anymore. You're in connection and safety, and it feels comfortable to talk to people, to get out of the house, to get out of bed, right? All of these things that can be very difficult when we're in survival mode.
Okay. So that was a lot. It sounds great. How does one start with that momentum? I mean, walk us through that. Something is changing and let's do a positive change. They're in a new career or they're taking on a new initiative. That's scary.
Mhm.
They acknowledge I'm feeling some things.
Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah, so it starts by first understanding where we are. And what I mean by that is there's kind of four different states. So one of them is inertia, like that's the typical stuckness in the sense of I'm not able to take any actions. I just can't get myself to do much and I'm frozen, right? I don't know what I need to do. I don't know where I'm going. So it's low clarity and low action. And that's what we call kind of stuck.
Hmm.
Then there is a different kind of stuck, which is where we're doing a lot, but not necessarily moving toward where we want to go. And that's where a
Sure.
lot of high achievers are because we're programmed to do, right? I'm stuck. I need to go out. I need to push harder, all of those things, right? So that doesn't necessarily get us what we do because we're just spinning. We're just taking a lot of actions, but we don't have clear action. So sometimes we find ourselves 2, 5, 10 years later, after having done a lot of stuff and accomplished some stuff, but being like, not really fulfilled. Like I feel
Hmm.
a form of stuckness, like I'm not doing what I actually want to do. There's something more for me out there. And that's where most people are these days, high achievers are. They just have worked so hard because that's been the program, and they're not feeling the sense of meaning or fulfillment that they want to feel. Then
Hmm.
there's a third kind of stuckness, which is, we call it the incubation period. So you've got some clarity on some direction, but you're not yet taking, consistent action. Maybe you're waiting for some things to happen. Maybe, there's, a resource issue, whatever it is, or maybe you just need time to integrate, right? Sometimes the pause button is a very good thing, right? So we're not rushing into something prematurely just to stay busy. So when I worked years after I kind of mentioned to you the situation at the outplacement, where I was a recipient of outplacement, years later, I was an executive career coach for 3.5 years at the world's largest outplacement firm. So I got to work with over 250 executives that were in transition. And I can tell you that a lot of them were in that place of like spinning, right? Like I need to go and immediately I need to do my resume, I need to do this, but they didn't even really know what they wanted.
Hmm.
But they're like it was a survival fear thing, like I just need to do, right? And then some of them were at a point where they have some clarity, but it's not quite there yet. They needed to kind of sit with it and talk to people and all of that. So they were in the incubation period, which is actually a very good place to be if you're not ready for action yet. You just don't want to get stuck there either, of course. And then the fourth quadrant is momentum. You know where you're headed and you're inspired to take those actions. All of the parts of you are aligned. They're all feeling safe to move toward the direction that you want to go in. It doesn't mean that you have crystal clear clarity on exactly what you want to do and all of that, but you're moving in the direction of what feels good and what matters to you, what aligns with your top values.
I am so glad that you had used the alignment phrase because that's when talking about the pause button or the incubation, I feel like I've met several entrepreneurs in that stage where, again, as high achievers, maybe a little perfectionism, we want to have all the answers and all the dots dotted and all the I's dotted, T's crossed before we move into that momentum. But when you said, as long as it's aligned, you don't have to have everything figured out. And as we know, as entrepreneurs, there is no straight path to anything. So it's okay. And I'm so glad that you said that. Momentum doesn't just mean you have everything figured out. It means you're actually taking action.
That's right. And it feels good. You may
Hmm.
not know exactly where it's going, and chances are in today's world, it's going to change anyway, right? You're going to need to
Exactly.
pivot in some way because some unexpected thing may show up. And that's where the resilience comes in because when you're in that momentum type of mindset, number one, knowing where you are at any point, right? One day I could be, or one moment I could be feeling stuck, and then 10 minutes later I could be, in a different state. So first of all, understanding where I am and understanding that in order for me to build that energy, I need to be able to shift my state. If I'm hijacked, if I'm incoherent, I can't access the clarity I need, right? So, and if I'm incoherent and I don't have a lot of energy, I don't have physically the energy to take the actions in a sustainable way. So we need both. We need clarity and we need the energy to be able to take the sustainable actions. And then that momentum effect, it kind of feeds on itself because when we feel good, we think more clearly, we think more positively, we can imagine more broadly, we can connect more with people. They open doors for us, we open doors for them, and it's just more and more and more openness is going on in our life.
Hmm. Instead of stuckness, it's openness. It sounds so simple, but as we know, it is not easy, and you have to be conscious of these efforts.
Correct. You need to know where you are, and
Mhm.
you also need to know how to get out of it. So, in terms of changing your state, the very first thing we want to do in terms of going inward to get that inner alignment is to just notice, what am I feeling? Part of me is frustrated that I haven't had enough traction yet, right? Maybe I've been spinning my wheels. I've been trying to get this business up and running, and I'm not, having the consistent results that I want, right? Maybe a part of me is feeling grateful that I can be an entrepreneur, that I have the support to be able to do that from the people in my life, and that, it's, and I'm not alone. Or maybe a part of me is worried about the economy and what's going to happen. And another part of me is feeling disappointed that, maybe I didn't do as well on a particular call, or fearful of success, right? What will happen if my business takes off? How will my life change? Will I, get to do the things I love to do? So there are many different parts of us, and these parts are very active when there is a time of change. It's like they wake up, they're dormant, and then they wake up. All of a sudden, there's like, and sometimes there's a battle, right? When there's stuckness, there's a battle. Part of me says go, and a part of me says stop. Not yet, not safe, not yet, right? Because it's a body thing. It may not make logical sense, but my body is sensing it's not safe.
That makes sense.
So, exactly. So I need to work with the body to help those parts to feel safe. And the only way to do that, once I've tuned into how I'm feeling, is to activate the heart. The heart. And I don't mean that in a metaphorical way. I mean, in the literal sense, we want to activate positive or regenerative feelings. Why? When we do that, our heart rate variability pattern shifts into a nice, smooth pattern. And that's what we know to be safety in the nervous system. So all the kind of head brain, heart brain, gut, so what I think, what I feel, what I do is aligned. And in that state, I'm in a whole brain state. I'm not operating out of fear. I'm able to see the truth, to be more objective, to make better decisions, to operate from wisdom versus from hustle or fear, that can keep me in inertia.
So, talk to us about how we get our heart in that state physically. Because you're not talking
Absolutely.
about, okay, I'm aligned in my heart with this thing that I'm going to do. You're talking physical change to our heart.
I am, and I can actually
Yep.
guide you through it. So, what I can do for you and the listeners is maybe kind of first teach it, and then
Yep.
I'll actually guide you through it so that you can
Perfect.
experience it for yourself, because that's the only way to truly learn. So, the essence here is shift, right? We want to be able to shift our state. If I'm stuck, I want to shift to either movement, even if I don't yet have a lot of clarity, or to be able to just kind of have that pause, right?
Mhm.
Either way, I'm moving toward having more momentum, more clarity aligned with action. So I first start with, okay, where am I? How am I feeling right now? So the first step of it in the shift, SHIFT roadmap, state, how am I feeling right now? Because these parts of me that are creating the fight, flight, fear kind of response, freeze response, are needing to be heard and seen. There's something called internal family systems. It's a framework where we get to understand the different parts of ourselves in order to create more harmony within. So we start by saying, how am I feeling? So the fill in the blank is like this. A part of me feels, and then fill in the blank. And another part of me feels, fill in the blank. Now notice I didn't say I feel.
Mhm.
There's a difference. It creates that metacognition. The moment I'm saying a part of me feels, I'm not speaking from the part, I'm noticing the part of me. That's important. Right?
I can see that.
A part of me thinks this, a part of me feels that, a part of me, maybe physical sensations, right? There's tension in my shoulders. There's, that butterfly feeling in my stomach, whatever that might be. So we want to just notice what is. That's what state is about. Because before we can change it, we first have to name it. We have to bring it to our conscious awareness. Okay.
Got
That'll
it.
help our unconscious mind to move that energy. So
Mhm.
that's the first thing.
All right, before we dive back in, I want to take a moment to talk about something that can take what you're learning today in this episode, as well as our previous episodes, and turn it into something that is real strategic growth for your business. For example, if you're feeling inspired by what you're hearing today, maybe you want to improve your leadership, maybe you want to refine your systems, maybe you want to build a more scalable business, maybe you just want to get out of your own way and break free from those limiting beliefs that may be holding you back. If are you feeling that way, then you are exactly the kind of entrepreneur who will thrive in our strategic shift program. You see, it's designed for women entrepreneurs just like you, who are established, ambitious, and ready to build something that is not just successful today, but is positioned for more growth, long-term value, and freedom, right? That's why we're in business in the first place. In this program, you'll get proven framework, tools and resources, financial insights, strategic mindset shifts, everything that you need to Work methodically through the growth of your business. And the best part is it grows with you. This isn't a course that you just take once and has basic business information in it. This is something that has the actual tools as if you were working alongside a coach to help you build the foundation and continue to build on it year after year as you continue to scale. It's even designed to work with your leadership team once you get to that point in your business. So if you're serious about building a business that is valuable today and continues to grow in value while you're not having to work harder, then check out the strategic shift on Tina-Sue. Look for courses and look for strategic shift. So let's get back to our show.
So then comes H for heart. So we've named our state H for heart. Why? We have to change our cardiac rhythms. So the way to do that, and this is through the Heart Math Institute. I'm a trainer with the Heart Math Institute that studies the communication between the heart and the brain, and again, the communication between all of our systems of intelligence, is that we want to get into a state of coherence, which is that smooth HRV pattern, by first pausing to do some heart-focused breathing. So heart-focused breathing is where we focus our attention in the area of the heart. So we can take our hand and kind of place it over our heart or chest area if it's safe to do so. And then we just imagine that our breath is flowing in and out of our heart or chest area. And as we do that, we breathe a little slower and deeper than usual. So maybe even as I talk, maybe if you and the listeners can just kind of begin to breathe slowly and deeply in and out of your heart. And as you do that, what's happening is that you're synchronizing what's called your autonomic nervous system, which is the part of your body that basically controls your heart rate, your digestion, all of those things that are below your conscious awareness. And that part of your body, the autonomic nervous system, has two branches, sympathetic and parasympathetic, kind of the stress response and the, let's call it the relaxation response. So when we breathe slowly and deeply in and out of our heart or chest area, we're creating kind of a synchronized state. So think of a car that has the gas pedal and the brake pedal, right? Rather than having a very jerky kind of ride, right? A part of me wants to go and a part of me wants to stop. Remember that? Like change, right? Parts of me wants to change, a part of me wants to stay. Right? I create a nice smooth rhythm, okay? So that's the first step. That gets our body even ready to do the next step. So once we've done heart-focused breathing, then we want to activate a positive or regenerative feeling. And once we do that, what's happening is that our body is being filled, if you will, with hormones. The biggest one being DHEA, which is a vitality hormone, which has a counter effect to the cortisol, the stress that's in the body from
We don't like cortisol.
Well, we like some cortisol because it gets us into movement, right? We just want a healthy amount of
That's a fair statement. Thinking of,
correct. So
women
some
around
stress
my
is
age,
good.
we don't like too much cortisol.
Oh, yeah. I'm with you. So, right, so there's the kind of the optimal zone, which is some stress, but not to the point where on one side we're completely bored or on the other side we're burnt out, right? We need a healthy amount of stress. The problem is that often many of us are living in a cortisol soup because there's a lot of uncertainty and there's a lot of fear and all of these kinds of things. So our parts are constantly activated in today's world. So what we want is to kind of have a healthy amount of stress, right? So what's happening is it's not that we're not feeling any stress, we're just kind of synchronizing our autonomic nervous system, which is like stress, relaxation, stress, relaxation. That's what we human beings are meant to do. That's the optimal state of performance and health. It's not to sit on a beach and do nothing our whole life, right? But yet we don't want to also burn out or spin our wheels too much, right? So we want to just be in a nice, healthy, regulated state. So shift, we start with state, naming a part of me feels this, a part of me feels that. Then we get to heart. First is the heart-focused breathing. Then we activate a positive or regenerative feeling. And again, shift physiologically, change the heart rhythm pattern going from our heart up to the brain, because over 90% of the communication starts in the heart and goes upward to the brain, not down, it goes up. Yeah. We have a feeling usually before a thought. So if I'm making a decision, I first have it in my heart, right? In the sense that I receive that as intuition in my heart. The information travels up my vagal nerve to the thalamus in my brain where it becomes conscious, right? That thalamus controls my executive functions, right?
Yes.
So we've activated our heart. So the next step in shift is I. And I stands for insight, because remember, we need clarity to get into momentum, aligned clarity, something that's aligned with what's actually most important to us. And when we're in a stuck state, typically we're over attached to something, right? We're either over attached to like, I got to change, or over attached to no, right? Not safe, not safe. And those are different parts of us. So we
Hmm.
want to just kind of soften that, right? To have kind of a healthier tension in these parts of us, rather than like a polarization. So how do we do that? We ask our heart for guidance. Our heart, when we're in a coherent state, has access to something called non-local intuition. Non-local intuition. So that is a form of intuition beyond time and space. What?
That sounds complicated.
So, what we know from research is that the heart responds to events several seconds before we become conscious of them. So,
Mm.
I'll share with you some of the experiments that were done, and these are done in labs all around the world. So, imagine you're sitting in front of a computer, you're doing, part of participant in an experiment, and on the computer are randomly generated images. So, some are threatening images like car crashes, and some are peaceful, kind of calm images like bunny rabbits or nature scenes, right? Nobody knows what images are going to pop up, randomly generated. Even the scientists who are running the experiments don't know, okay?
Hmm.
In those experiments, what we see again and again and again is about 5 or 6 seconds before a threatening event comes on the screen, our heart rate shifts. It dips about 5 or 6 seconds before the randomly generated event. So, how could the heart
Hmm.
know before we're conscious of it, before our eyes see it? How is
Right.
that possible? It's because the heart has access to information beyond time and space. And there's a deeper conversation here. It's actually non-duality has been proven. There's been a Nobel Prize one not too long ago on that. So we know there are other dimensions. We know there's non-duality. So the idea with insight is that we want to be able to access that insight. So what do? Once we're in a coherent state, we ask our heart for appropriate insight or guidance. And it could be as simple as, what's most important here? We ask the question, and then we don't think of the answer. We just wait to receive it. So we may get an image, we may get a thought, we may get a name of somebody, we may get an idea of an action to take or to not take, right? Something will come. And sometimes it doesn't come in that moment. Sometimes it comes in the shower later or when you're on a walk, right? It will come. So we ask our heart for guidance, and that's the insight.
Okay.
And typically when we get that insight, we feel lighter, we trust it, right? It's intuitive. It's not like somebody telling us the right path. And typically, what it means when we ask what's most important, it reminds us almost like above the weeds, right? We can see it from a place of wisdom, right? We can see the bigger picture, think paradoxically, right? Seeing all of the different parts, and then coming to a decision that is best for the whole system.
Hmm.
Then the next step, once we access that guidance, and I'll guide you through it so you'll get to experience. Yes.
Before we move on, I want to make sure that I heard you right, that you wait. You're not looking at the insight isn't coming consciously from your brain. You're
Correct.
not having to go solve this problem, right? You're waiting. It could be a minute, it could be a day for this guidance for the answer or
Yes.
the alignment to come.
Good question. So you ask from like a curious, not a like, wouldn't it be nice to receive some guidance here, right? So we're
Yeah.
not like, oh my God, I need to get the right answer, because
It's not
then we're
like by one
operating.
o'clock I need to have the answer, right? It's not that.
Exactly. Exactly. There's a part of us, our true self with a capital S, that already knows what we want to become. And there's a ton of research with repeat entrepreneurs. Those entrepreneurs are consistently are able to just hit the nail on the head in terms of the what the market needs and so on. And oftentimes those entrepreneurs go against the data, go against what everybody says they should do. They trust their intuitive guidance and they hit the ball out of the park every single time.
Sure.
Right? And why? Because when they were interviewed, they said over 80% of the time they trusted their intuition. It's a deeper place of knowing than our conscious mind can perceive
Okay.
because it's coming from a place that's not attached, right? Once we activate the heart does not have any polarization, right? There's two hemispheres in the brain. There are no hemispheres in the heart per se, right? It's unity. So what we're accessing is something that's highest and best for ourselves and for others.
I like it. Okay.
So we ask the question, we wait for the answer, and then we go on to focus, right? Even if nothing comes right away, we just focus on something to appreciate, and we go on trusting it will come. It will. So then the focus in shift, right? So we've got state, heart, insight, F for focus. So that's when we now kind of go from our inner world to our back to our outer world per se. And we're like, okay, what do I need to focus on right now? And typically that's guided by the insight that we've gotten or kind of an intuitive sense, right? Or at least we're more coherent to be able to access. because our focus matters, right? That clarity matters for us to get momentum that's sustainable, right? For me to stick with something, it has to feel congruent and aligned. Otherwise, I might take a few actions and then like a rubber band revert right back to my old behavior,
Which
right?
we've
I'm
all
almost
done.
like needing to create exactly the psychological realignments happen because of that shift of state, not because we thought we should do something or think something. Yeah.
Mm, that is
We
so
can't change
important.
our mindset by thought alone. We have to change our heart rhythms. That's a rule. We can't
Yes.
because it's a body, it's a nervous system thing.
I think we
So,
we need to refocus on that, because how many times have each of us started something because we know it's best for us, or because we were told to do it, and if we're not bought in truly in our heart and soul, it's not lasting.
and we're going to learn from that experience. So you can't go wrong in any of the
Mhm.
quadrants, if you will, of like low energy, high energy, clarity, right? Like the momentum, matrix. You can never go wrong wherever you are. Even if I'm in inertia, that time where I'm not doing anything and I don't have clarity, it's like think of compression, like a coil, right? A coil that we press down and we press down and we press down. At some point, right, that coil is gonna, that momentum, that energy is gonna go to kinetic energy, right? It's gonna
Mhm.
right? So in the not doing and the not having clarity, what am I thinking? I need clarity. I need to move, right? So when I know
Mhm.
what I don't want, I know what I do want. So I'm building that inner momentum that's going to be ready to unleash to external change, right?
Mhm.
I'm going to take some action because I'm in inaction and it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel good. So or when I'm in incubation, right? I'm like, I'm not ready to take action yet. And parts of me want to, but at least I have clarity. It's like that too is a good time. It's like just beingness. And there's a lot of connections, neural connections that happen in that time when I go for a walk, when I take the week off
Mhm.
on vacation. I think I'm not doing anything, but I'm actually doing quite a lot because my body needs to integrate. My body, for safety, it needs time to build that circuitry, right? To the new pathways, right? The new
Mhm.
identity. So incubation time is great too, or when we're in that spinning again. So I'm not clear, but I'm taking a lot of actions. Yes, I'm burning out, but that too has value because I know what I don't want, right? So I'm feeling the discord, and that's guiding me toward a desire for more harmony, more inner harmony and inner alignment.
Mhm.
So we can never go wrong. The most important thing is our health. So knowing that when I'm stuck, when I'm in that spinning, I'm in survival mode of some sort. I'm not in a coherent state. I need to get coherent first and foremost for my health because I've got a whole bunch of cortisol and other toxic chemicals in my body that over extended periods of time are not healthy for me.
Mhm.
It's not sustainable.
I like that. I
So
love I'm sorry, I love the fact that you're pointing out, even when you are sitting there as high achievers thinking we have to have the answer and we need to make that next step or the next move or understand the next thing, by ruling out things that we know we don't like or don't want in this particular change thing, that's making momentum too. I think that's really
it's
important for
bringing
people to
clarity.
hear. Yeah. Or even just
Yeah.
if nothing's coming to you, not the good or the bad, but it sounds like then you're at least opening up the space to receive that intuition when the message comes.
And the underlying belief, and I'll use Albert Einstein's words, right? In terms of, the biggest decision you, I, and others get to make is this world a friendly universe or a hostile universe? If I choose to believe it's a friendly universe, then there is no good and bad. The layoff, the client breaking the contract, the whatever, right? The flat tire, none of those things are bad. They are happening so that certain parts of me could be reactivated so I could let go of something that my body is holding on to,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's so let's say if there's something going on with my business, right? And a part of me is afraid, right? Let's say fear of failure. That fear of failure, that part that's feeling it, wasn't created when I had a business. These parts are from a long time ago when we were
Mm-hmm.
very, very, very young, usually single digits, right? Or sometimes even in the womb.
Mm-hmm.
So what's happening is that I'm running an old circuit. So the moment that I pause to notice my part state, right? A part of me feels, and then I get coherent. I'm number one, breaking that old circuit, right? That self-fulfilling prophecy, that circuit that's going on in the background, neurologically, like literally in the brain,
Yep.
there's a circuit that's happening, that's being run.
Mm-hmm.
I'm breaking that, and I'm creating a new way to,
Mm-hmm.
right? because I've activated the heart. So now I can see a different perception. So this is why once we get the heart guidance, almost every single time our focus changes just because our body has dissolved some of that energy that's being stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's transmuted some of that energy. We literally feel lighter, and then we're able to focus on what really matters. What really matters. So I'll share an example of this in a moment, but I want to kind of finish the shift. So the
Mm-hmm.
focus is, okay, now that I've gotten the guidance, okay, what do I need to do, right? What do I need to focus on? What's it going to take to get there? Okay. And then T is for action, of course. Take action. We have to take action. By that point, it's aligned action.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to feel more inspired to take it and to stick with it.
Right. That's the key.
The positive action, exactly. The positive behaviors, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, quick example, yesterday or a couple of days ago, I was having coffee with a friend, and he was feeling a little bit stuck because he needed to make some calls. He volunteered. I'm part of something called the Entrepreneurs Organization, and he volunteered on the board to help with some sponsorship, getting some sponsorships for the different learning programs and so on. And so he was feeling some discord about that. He's a physician. He's not a salesperson. He's not,
Sure.
right? Like that's not his domain. Right? So parts of him were feeling certain feelings, right? Uncomfortable, all of that.
I might not be good
So we
at it, all the things.
exactly. So we literally took like 2 minutes to run him through this, as we're going to do with your listeners. And in the moment of the insight that came to him is the words active listening. And he got like, I'm really good at that with my patients. I can do that, active listening. So the focus was, that's what I'm going to focus on the call, right? So yes, I have my scripts that I was given and all that good stuff. And I'm just going to be present, and I'm going to ask questions, and I'm going to listen, and I'm going to connect. I'm going to build rapport. And that was the action he took that afternoon. Yeah.
Because that was
So
comfortable for him, right? That's where
because he anchored, his nervous system was able to release the overattachment to, I got to get it right, I might get it wrong, all of that stuff
Mhm.
that was probably from a long time ago,
Mhm.
right? Where parts
Yes,
of him
no one
decided,
told
I
him
need to
that.
get it right, I need to succeed, I need and so he got that, and that felt right to him, and he was able to take that action. So that's the work, right? To go faster, we got to go slower, and sometimes that whole process can take like 2 minutes. It's very quick, and you'll see it really doesn't take very long. It's that little pause that gets us back, right, into our core, back into a state of alignment with what we think, what we feel, what we do is all aligned. And then what happens is there's more energy, right? There's more energy. Literally, when we connect with people, there's more elevated emotions being radiated from our heart and into this electromagnetic field. And other people's nervous systems are picking up on that, and they feel safer, right? And that's the essence of influence, is really energetic, right? Daniel Kahneman won the Nobel Prize for economics for I don't know if you read the book, right? Around system one, system two. What is the book name? Oh my gosh, I forget the name. But Daniel Kahneman's book, Think Fast, Go Slow. I don't remember that, whatever that is. But anyway, system
We'll
one is
find it.
that
We'll put it in
unconscious
the
system of
show notes.
parts. Yeah, thank you. The idea here is that what he saw, and this is why he won the Nobel Prize for economics, is that 95% of the time we make decisions, including decisions about big things, like should I start a business? Should I do this or not? Those decisions, right? Should I trust this person or not? Right? Those decisions, 95% of the time, are made from system one. That's the unconscious, automatic, habitual, survival driven mind.
Mhm.
And not from system two, which is our conscious mind, logical, rational. So if I was trying to influence someone, right, of course, authentic influence, because I believe I can help them, like my friend, right, he knew that that is going to help that person, right, is going to be a win-win for everyone, right? So he first anchored in that. But what we know is that giving him logic and reasoning as to why to sponsor, these programs, that wasn't going to cut it unless that person has already bought into that, right? Or has done it
Mhm.
before. And but if there is some unconscious resistance, he needed to make that person feel safe. Active listening is one way to help the other person's unconscious system feel safe, feel that it can trust, feel that it's, even though there's uncertainty and things going on in the world, that I got your back, right? You're
Mhm.
safe. And that's what our system needs to know. That's what calms the nervous system. So I invite you and our listeners to bring to mind something small or big that they feel stuck about right now, right? It could be part of them wants to do something and a part of them doesn't, Or maybe it's kind of like there's something in their life where they're taking, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back kind of deal. Like they're just not getting the sustainable momentum, that they need in order to get the result that they want.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be a problem, issue, something they're stuck around. Okay,
Okay.
good. So now we're ready to start because we're going to shift our state to be able to access higher guidance around that and take more aligned action. Yeah. So first is S for state. So we start by asking ourselves, how am I feeling as I focus on this issue or this problem or this stuckness thing in my life? How am I feeling? So it's almost like a fill in the blank. A part of me feels, and then name that. When you're doing this on your own, you want to either speak it or write it or both. You want to bring it into the physical. Okay. And then once you do that, you do it again. And another part of me feels, and then you fill in that blank. And it might be that there's only one voice, or maybe you're hearing multiple voices. You just continue that until you basically like emptied out, right?
Sure.
Meaning you got to give attention to all the parts of you because these parts are really like little. So metaphorically, I want you to imagine it's like you're going in a room with these little kids and you're saying to them, and how are you feeling? And how are you feeling? And how are you feeling? And you're not going to leave the room until you kind of get to hear from everybody, right? You're not going to do that, right? Or you kind of leave some kiddos, not heard, right in the corner
Right.
there. So you really want to shine a light on each of them, give them a microphone, so to speak. Yeah.
I love that visual. Okay.
And then again, you're not going to leave the room if they're in distress, right? You're gonna give them some love, right? They're just perplexed, confused little kids, right? That's what these parts are. They're operating out of old strategies that are just not up with the times, right?
They
And they're
probably
trying
came from when we were a kid, some of those
exact,
beliefs. Mm-hmm.
So, and the common ones are I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I don't have enough, whatever, right? There's so
Mm-hmm.
many different beliefs. I don't know what to do, I might fail, I might succeed, many different voices that are very common. So once we've done that, so you've labeled, noticed what is active in the moment as you focus on the issue or problem. Now we want to activate the heart. So let's do that together.
Mm-hmm.
So I invite you to go ahead and place your hand, excuse me, over your heart or chest area.
Mm-hmm.
And then just imagine as if your breath was flowing in and out of your heart or chest area. So you're just pretending and imagining. And then breathe a little slower and deeper than you usually do. We want to stay there for a few more moments, just finding a nice, easy rhythm that's allowing our autonomic nervous system, right, to begin to feel, that sense of safety. Good. Now, as you stay focused in your heart, make a sincere attempt to experience a positive, regenerative feeling, such as appreciation or care for something or someone in your life. And maybe you re-experience the feeling of love for someone, or maybe even a pet, or thinking of a special place in nature that makes you feel good, or an accomplishment or a happy memory, or just breathing a feeling of calm and ease in and out of your heart. And from this more objective place, ask your heart for guidance. Ask your heart what really matters here. And don't think of the answer, just wait to receive it. Stay curious. Good. And if you didn't get anything right away, that's cool too. Just focus on something to appreciate and let your unconscious mind know that you're ready to receive it later. Yeah. And now we go to focus. So now from this more focused place, ask yourself, what's most important right now? What do I need to focus on right now? What's going to move me toward what I want? And just notice what that is. It could be one little thing that you could do, one little point of focus. What do you want to put your energy toward that's aligned with who you want to be and what you want to create? Good. And then the T for take action. So maybe you can take action right now if that's something that's feasible, or make a commitment to act on this guidance as soon as you can. Because that's the thing, when you're asking for guidance from a coherent love place, the place of wholeness, you can always trust the guidance that comes back to you. It somehow knows what you don't know. It's like a bird in the sky that can see things you can't see from this maze of ours. Yeah, good. So how was that for you? What do you notice in how you feel? If you're willing to share what showed up for you, what was that like?
I wrote a few things down because I want to do this when I'm not paying attention to you. So I think that is probably something key that depending on if our listeners are in the car or have 20 other things going on, I think it's great because there are definitely stages that I want to take some a little bit more focused time to think about, but it makes so
As you
much
focus,
sense.
and just notice for yourself, you don't need to share out loud, even though you weren't necessarily 100% present with the technique,
Mhm.
because of course, so playing host here, right? There's a role. Just notice as you focus on that problem issue, that thing of stuckness, just notice what, if anything, is different as you think about that now. Just stay curious and notice if anything has shifted. It could be physical, a thought about it, maybe how you feel about it. Just notice what, if anything, shifted.
I definitely notice which part of the shift I'm in versus where I was just like even a few months ago. So that was going through that process with you, which took, a minute and a half. I know where I'm at now and where I need to focus, which is actually the F in the focus on what is next.
Oh,
Yes.
beautiful. So just pause for a moment and give thanks to your unconscious parts for helping you to experience what you've experienced and to access what you are ready to access.
Hmm.
For us to be able to get unstuck, meaning to let go of some of these over attachments, these old strategies, those protective parts need to know that we'll be safe. This is why when we access the guidance, it's like we're giving them the guidance. They are learning what they need so that they can let go, right? Not
Hmm.
hold on so tight. And then we begin to notice our thoughts are different. So maybe the same triggers show up in our life, but we're not running the same old circuits because we've literally reprogrammed our mind. We've rewired. We're not running the same loops.
Hmm.
That's the cool thing. And it's a practice, right? You want to shift at least once a day.
What a great statement. Shift once a day.
Yeah.
I really hadn't thought about that until that very moment because I was thinking that, oh, when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling stuck, but really to shift every day and walk through that process.
Yeah. Because
Well, I'd imagine it would just lessens the big feeling of stuck. You're finding yourself when you're mini stuck. I mean, I don't know that that's a thing, but I'd imagine that is like the proactive version of making the small conscious steps.
so when I'm in incubation period, meaning I'm clear about what I want, but I'm not taking like sustainable, consistent action,
Hmm.
that. Or even if I'm in momentum, I've got clarity, I got action, things are moving, right? The flywheel is turning. So in either one of those states, I'm not necessarily incoherent, right?
Right.
By doing the shift allows me to fill up my energy battery because anytime I get that DHEA in my system, I reboot, I literally fill up my energy, right?
Hmm.
There's a higher vibration in my body. My body's vibrating at a higher level and I'm radiating more love into the field, which is going to help me to attract the conversations, the opportunities that I want. So we can use this shift to shift into a higher elevated state of momentum or to shift out of incubation even more quickly, right? Because
Hmm.
we're accessing the guidance on what actions to take, right? And we're feeling inspired and we've got more energy to take them. So we can't go wrong. Anytime we go inward, we connect with our little parts, we give them some love, we access our heart's intuitive guidance, and we take some action that's aligned with it. Can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong. I think this is amazing because one of the premises of Women Choosing Growth is to be able to take away action and have something tangible. And you just hit the nail on the head of something every single person who's listening can can do. There's no limit,
That's right.
no
And to give
limitation on that.
themselves a whole lot of love, a whole lot
Hmm.
of love, because for however long they've been stuck or in the future will be stuck, it's a nervous system thing. So a lot of people are like, I should know more, I should do better, I'm procrastinating, I'm a failure, right? All of the shame and all those voices come online. And yet remembering that this is a body thing. So the judgment, self-judgment doesn't help. Instead, we want to go inward, notice what we're feeling, elevate our state
Hmm.
and ask for the guidance that will help us to get unstuck.
Tell us how, if someone wanted some outside help with that, the shift is great, but if they need additional help, how can they work with you?
Of course. So, my company, Momentum Institute, we have coaches and trainers that guide them through a program depending on where they are in the process. Some people have some deeper stuckness, if you will, some deeper because of trauma. So we work with different tools like EFT tapping and havening techniques, these psychosensory modalities that work with the body even more for quicker belief change and kind of program change. And then we have training programs for teams, for for groups. We've got different things. So I would say the first thing is connect with me on LinkedIn. I think I'm the only Vered Kogan on LinkedIn land. I would be surprised if not.
That's great to have a unique name.
So Vered Kogan, find me there. The other place is momentuminstitute.com. Or my YouTube channel. I have a podcast as well called The Mindset Game, and we've had many, many experts on the show around how to get unstuck, whether it's more on the change management side, many experts, on the inner side of change. Like, for example, I mentioned internal family systems. Dr. Dick Schwartz is one of our guests. We've had many different experts that can help them to get what they need to get unstuck, build momentum, and make that momentum stick.
I love it. What is your final words of advice for our listeners?
I would borrow from my mentor, Dr. Dick Schwartz, and I would say no bad parts. There are no bad parts of themselves. All the parts are just loving and protect him. So just love.
Is that no, K-N-O-W, and also N-O?
Oh, good. Yeah, that's so cool. I never thought about that. I was thinking I know, but that's true. Because if you think about stuckness, it's a polarization. And just like in the outer world, right? Think about if let's say there are two people on different sports teams and they're like, right, or political polarization. How do we get unstuck about that, right? It's understanding, curiosity. Once you get to understand why somebody thinks and feels and does what they do, then typically it tends to soften some of the judgment. We may feel a little more empathy and compassion. And then it just kind of like, it softens. It doesn't mean we're best friends, but at the very least, we respect and we can hold the paradox, right? We can hold the tension without being incoherent, right? So, so it's just like that in the inner world. When we get to know our parts and love them, stuckness tends to just disappear naturally.
Love that so much. Know your parts.
That was brilliant. Thank you.
That's you were the one who gave it to me. I felt it based on your knowledge. So I appreciate that. Our listeners appreciate you. We will have all of your contact information in the show notes so that they can reach out and follow you on YouTube, as well as following Women Choosing Growth. Thank you again.
Thank you. And thank you for all that you do to help these beautiful souls live into their highest, best potential.
Alignment is what we're all about as well. So we're aligned on that. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please be sure to hit subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. The Women Choosing Growth Show is not just another podcast. It's a tribe of women helping each other grow. So please share this podcast with all the women entrepreneurs that you would love to see succeed. If you'd like to know more about customized business advising through Cultivate Advisors, download business tools, or sign up for upcoming events, visit www.womenchoosinggrowth.com. Once again, that's www.womenchoosinggrowth.com. Remember, we are in this together. See you on the next one.